Good evening, everybody. This is Scott DeCamp with CatchMark SportsNet. We're in the CatchMark SportsNet Podcast studio in Whitehall. This is Season 5, Episode 2 of the CatchMark SportsNet Podcast, brought to you by Chris Wank Real Estate of Coldwell Banker, Woodland Schmidt. It's Monday, September 18th, 2023. And I'm pleased to be joined tonight by members of the Reeths-Puffer football team. The Rockets are off to a 3-1 start. Overall, 1-1 in the OK Green, and gearing up for a showdown with Muskegon this Friday at Rocket Stadium. Welcome to the show, Coach Cody Cater.
Thanks for having us. You know, we're happy to be here.
Absolutely. And seniors Caden Bullock.
Hi.
And Bryce Ross.
Yes, so we're excited to be here.
Welcome, guys. Thank you. So how you guys been doing? How was practice today?
It was a solid practice, I'd say. I think all around both sides it was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously big week, but, you know, now you're starting to get into midseason form where you're just trying to, you know, improve upon your deficiencies and, you know, and obviously optimize your strengths. But, you know, we're in that point of the season, you know, where we know kind of where we are and where we want to go and what we have to do it. So now it's just kind of sticking to the plan and, you know, obviously holding tough conversations and honest conversations with ourselves as a staff, but also with the kids. So it's nice to kind of finally get into the real swing of it. The first couple of weeks always are weird just because of the games are on Thursdays, you're coming in on the weekends, and, you know, the seasons or the practice structure is just different. So it's you know, it's nice to finally get going, and, you know, today was a strong practice.
Now you're getting into the rhythm, kind of just that flow of the regular, you know, Friday games and just the routine throughout the week.
Yes,
So-
yeah, full day school. You know, like last week was our first week of full day schools. The week before that we had half days, and, you know, our structure really wasn't, you know, that different. Or 2 weeks ago, our structure really wasn't that different. So now, you know, our first week was against Mona Shores, and we were, you know, we didn't have the greatest week of practice, and it showed out on that Friday. So, you know, it's nice to be able to finally get into a decent rhythm.
Yeah, we'll get into more of that discussion about Shores and the other games here in a little bit. In case our viewers haven't seen it yet, hopefully you have. CatchMark SportsNet is producing a 3-part series, Hard Knock style, on the 2023 Reeths-Puffer football team. Episode 2 dropped today. But before we dive into all that discussion, we want to, and it's going to be riveting discussion, I know, because of the group that we have collected here tonight. So let's take a few moments to thank our sponsors. That's Big Stone Therapies, Rescue 2.0 LLC, Grieve Law, Edward Jones with financial advisor Brett Adkins, Coldwell Banker Woodland Schmidt with David Duesenberry, Farm Bureau Insurance, the Kenny Agency, 5-Star Real Estate Leaders with Matt Parker, The Birdhouse, Scheid Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, Greenridge Realty with Chris Dykman and Sarah Reel, and special thank you to our title sponsor, Chris Wank Real Estate of Coldwell Banker Woodland Schmidt. If you have ever wondered what your house or property could potentially be worth in today's market, just reach out to Chris Wank and his team, and they can get you a comparable market analysis put together so you have data to help guide you throughout the process. As a real estate agent having strong working relationships with local lenders, Chris has the upper hand in being very creative and coming up with strategic ideas for all situations presented to his team during a potential purchase of a house or vacant land. Chris takes pride in trying to provide the best customer service to his clients and ensuring that there's always an open line of communication. Being born and raised in the West Michigan area, Chris feels blessed to have found his calling and being able to help people buy and sell real estate in the area he was raised. So thanks, Chris, for everything he does. I know our guests are itching to have the floor, right? You guys are ready to speak?
Yes,
I would like to talk about Chris, though. He's got a nice jump shot, too.
Does he?
You know, they need to put that into the
Got to work that into the script next time.
Into the script, yes.
You can get him an ad.
Yeah, he needs to have an ad with his jump
with his
shot
J?
there. Yeah, he's got a soft jumper.
When did you play against him?
We played pickup games together, you know, and you know, those Shelby guys, they move without the ball really well, but man, he's got a soft jumper.
He's told this story before. I don't know if it was this guy, but he's talked about this at some random point.
Yep.
A little bit no problem. He's brought him up.
He's not, I don't know that guy specifically, but he's talked about pickup games at some park.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
Did you know that this guy can ball pretty well?
Not anymore. Yeah, they don't.
Did you know that he played at the Breslin on his high school team?
Did you?
We don't talk about those types
right.
of things. You know, they always get upset. You know, or they get upset because I will bring up like the rings and the, you know, and those kinds of things. But I try not to, you know. I don't know. It doesn't matter as a coach.
Springsteen glory days.
As a coach, you know, it doesn't really matter. You know, like I don't use it to. Yeah, I mean,
You know,
if we want to hold a conversation about it, we'll have it. But
like the coach in what is that? The water boy, the guy that showed his rings all the time.
Yeah.
Kind of like that.
Yeah. We'd had this conversation actually got brought up today that I don't know where they're at. I can talk about them and rub them in their faces when they want to be soft, but we don't really have that conversation of like, I don't know, showing them off or anything along those lines. But I do remember in 2008 when we were going to go to the state championship, Denny Barnes, Reeths-Puffer, all that. He showed his ring off right the night before, and it was just like, hey, go get yourself one of these. And it was one of those stories where you're like, you reflect back on it. It was kind of motivational, like, man, I do want something that symbolizes, that.
Oh yeah.
For the rest of my life.
And it wasn't. It's never just that year either. It's everything building up to that.
Yes.
But,
exactly.
So before we really dive into, I want to just repeat what was mentioned last week about the time change of our live podcast. It used to be 4:00 on Mondays. We switched to 7:00 just because we wanted to involve the athletes and coaches, and we know it's just almost impossible to do that if we have a 4:00 show. So we're taking a little bit different approach. We want to focus on those student athletes and coaches. We do appreciate you guys being here, but before we kind of get into too much, let's learn a little bit about the guys on the show here. If you could just introduce yourself, say what grade you're in, what position you play, and what Reeths-Puffer football means to you.
I'm Caden Bullock. I'm a senior. I play linebacker, inside linebacker, and I mean football is just where I was brought up around it. I was brought up like football is what you're gonna do, and you're gonna go play. And I kind of fell in love with that and just being able to play. And that's about it.
I'm Bryce Ross. I play slot receiver and safety. Also a senior. And RP football to me, I mean, just like Caden, I was brought up playing football. Me and Caden played football together since we were little. So, and that's just all we did when I was little. So me and my older brother, we were outside playing football. We'd make our own rules so we could play one-on-one football, stuff like that. So
who won those battles? You or your brother?
I'd say I'd always take I'd have the upper hand, but we had some good battles out there.
Brady can play.
The killer bees, who and Brody too.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they're all part of that.
Killer bees, like from the Astros.
Yeah,
Astros.
They've been playing for a while, and their parents always share the memories on Facebook. It's pretty cool to see them, obviously grow up together and wanting to play with one another and have that true brotherhood that football can bring to people.
Yeah, if anyone's watching here, by the way, feel free to comment. We got a comment section here. We'll take your questions. I'm kind of surprised Mr. Dusenberry's not on here, considering he's a Reeths-Puffer grad.
He is.
He's almost always on here.
Yeah.
Sean Hadkey's almost always on here. He's a Montague boy, but anybody's welcome. Feel free to give these guys a little crap too if you want. But,
right.
Just be nice.
No, we can handle it.
No.
No, we can handle it. These guys, Caden's kind of soft, but Bryce can handle it.
So did you know, and I brought this up to Caden before, do you know his grandpa? Have you met Rick?
On Facebook, I have.
Do you know what? So I've got an uncle, lives in Ravenna, that knows him pretty well. Is good friends with him.
Yeah.
They call him Teletubby.
Teletubby?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Have you ever? I mean, I don't want to make fun of him because it's just not nice, and I don't know Rick that well.
Yeah.
Well, but if you've seen him, he's a kind of a shorter, stubbier guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So Caden was able to,
That's a connection.
get different genes.
He's got all the links.
Caden,
in the family.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know how I ended up the little height I have. I don't know how I got it.
Oh, okay.
Is your dad short too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My dad's like 5'7".
Yeah. How tall are you?
I'd say 6 foot.
Yeah.
Depends on who's listening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's always a fun thing. But how would you describe these two guys sitting in front of us, Cody?
Yeah, I mean, they are RP football. They were kind of the first guys that dove right in when we got there. As a staff, but then you just look at their relationships that they have and like why they have them, and it's because of football and and how much they enjoy playing it. But I think they feel a little bit of pressure because they're seniors now, and they really want to make this thing go right and do that. But at the end of the day, we just really want them to be themselves, because they are the program. You know, they are what the middle school kids and the youth kids are looking up to. You know, with that brings a little bit of pressure, but, you know, I just want them to be able to show how much they love it on Friday nights, because they love RP football. They love their teammates. They love the program, you know, and everything that it entails. So, you know, these two guys have done everything that we've asked out of guys, and so they truly are giant killers, even if the result doesn't, you know, come to be that, you know, just because of how they attack the day. So,
well, yeah, and you're trying to change the culture, and even that in and of itself is a big thing. That's a big deal.
Yeah,
because even if it's not necessarily showing up all the time in the wins and losses, it's going to show up long term in your program.
Right. Yeah. The
examples set and stuff.
Yeah, the conversations that we're having are great. I mean, they're in the right spot. I mean, our coaches have done an outstanding job as well of carrying those conversations through, but just through preparation and those kinds of things. And, you know, the program together is starting to see what it really truly takes to, you know, find ways to win close games and be a part of the conversation. You know, and that it entails so much more than just, hey, your weight training program has to be this, and you know, your sprinting program should be that, and all that. Like there's so many more pieces to it, and these guys are like the glue to that. You know, so now kids are starting to understand how to act, how to talk, you know, and how to do their day to day, and be a puffer boy, be a real puffer boy. And these two dudes right here, they represent that, you know, to a T, and they're kind of reestablishing what it means to be a puffer boy. So those are things that we, you know, those are the conversations that we like having. But these guys are the ones that are kind of leaders of that. We haven't really chosen captains yet of the team, and you know, for a reason, and that's going to be coming up here soon once we feel like we're ready to roll with leaders. But I think some guys these guys are part of that conversation that have just kind of stepped up. And, you know, it's a nice thing to see, because we don't want popularity contests or anything like that. We want guys that just want to chase this thing into the darkness and just lead for the right reasons. You know, and these are two dudes that have done that.
No, and you're not the biggest guys in the world, but it just goes to show that high school football and sports in general, you're not measured by that. You shouldn't be measured by that. You're measured by, I mean, not to sound trite or anything, but you're measured by what's inside and what you got, what you can do,
yes,
you know, what you bring out. So,
and the controllables, right? I mean, we're trying to get that dog out of them. I mean, it's still in there, and you know, the conversations that we have and the way that some of us might talk at certain times, you know, we're doing everything we can to get that dog to come out of them. There's more in them that they know.
I know these guys are, from what I've seen, what I've heard.
And so
you guys are both dogs.
Yeah. And so I think that piece of it is like, you know, crucial that, you know, they let it kind of like hang loose here, you know, going forward, so everyone else can see, you know, okay, that's what 10 toes deep looks like. But yeah, we're, you know, obviously we want these guys on our team. You know, if I was going into a pickup game of basketball, you know, Caden might be the sixth guy, but like Bryce, you know, we'll try to carry the team a little bit. Caden has a 2-hand jump shot. We played basketball last week, and
set shot or jump shot?
He uses both hands to
He's
shoot
a righty.
the basketball.
He's a righty.
Yeah.
It's here.
Yeah. So we found that out. I was like, for such a good athlete.
Speaking of basketball, I saw Nate Ardema over the weekend.
Yeah.
And he just wanted me to put in a plug real quick for Bryce Ross playing basketball. He goes, just think about it.
Wow.
I know it's football season now. He didn't want to get in the way of that, but just kind of put that in the back of your mind.
He's a locker room guy. He's a locker room guy, man. He will be the glue in that locker room. But, you know, that'll be awesome to see if he decided to do it.
So I kind of want to recap what's been in the season so far. We'll kind of go back to last year real quick, but what were the keys in your guys' minds of maybe starting to turn things around? Because you guys still had a nice season last year. You know, won 6 games, correct, and got to the playoffs. Faced a really tough Forest Hills Central team that ended up in the state finals. But what were the things you guys felt like you accomplished and that you guys could build on for entering this year?
I feel like we accomplished. I mean, compared to years prior, just our culture and our mentality for everything that we do, like even in the weight room, it's completely different. So just to see like what in just like a couple months worth of work can do with a good coaching staff, and from where we were to what we accomplished last season, I just think that, from there to now, I think we're in a really good spot, and we're just gonna keep building. So we have a lot of pieces to the puzzle. So
I think if you were to kind of just look at us from like, I guess the 2021 season to the 2022 season, if you just follow us around, you'd see a different team. Really, I mean, I think Coach Cater, you said you had a little compliment where it was a different Reeths-Puffer team, and I think that was the biggest difference. Was just, I mean, everybody kind of shut up, swallowed their pride, and just listened to like what we're told. We just followed the leader, and not that he's the leader, but we did what we were told, and things changed around.
No, it's such a mentality, though. I mean, so much of this is about your mentality. So, but yeah, you guys did a really good job with that. And I mean, what in your mind, coming over there and taking on that job, and so what were the things that you think that needed to be implemented right away?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know a lot about Reeths-Puffer, to be honest. Just growing up north of it, it's kind of wild that I didn't know much about the community, nor did I know a lot of people in the community. So it was kind of this area where we had to dive in and get to know what they were talking about, and like what was cool for the boys and all of those things. I felt like that was the biggest thing holding me back last year as a coach, was that I didn't know what they were talking about. I didn't know what the off the field issues were. I didn't know the conversations. I didn't know all of that. And then, like a lot of poor cultures, there was a lot of drama at first. There was a lot of talking and backstabbing, and changing of words and from like playing the telephone game, it was never the same thing by the end of it. And, and then the work ethic wasn't very good either. So, I mean, people said that they were working, but, they didn't really necessarily know how to stack days and, how to go about their business. So I felt like evaluating that right away, and then just the systematics approach is trying to find a way of like having, not having or providing opportunities for kids to find loopholes, because they always will, and parents even and community members of making excuses, and just, trying to leverage that out of them, and just making sure that they understand, the day-to-day and how important that is, and how important it is not to make excuses and try to limit distractions and within our culture. And we're trying to do that even more this year, and try to take that next step where it's just kind of, keep the main thing. Our focus is maximizing our ability, and anything that kind of gets in the way of ruining or, disturbing our brand, it's something that we should stay away from. And, I think the boys are doing a great job of that. But I think also what we're dealing with right now, and we talked about it a little bit today, is that they've put so much work in compared to maybe previous teams that they saw at the high school or with them when they were time at their middle school, so that now there's pressure arising because of it. And, because of that pressure, it's just, they're it's not that they don't want to win or, do their best, but now they're getting to a point where maybe they're squeezing a little bit too tight. So we're doing everything that we can to find a way to understand that, like, it's never going to get easier, just put the work in, guys. The work is only going to get harder. And so just do the hard work better, and understand it. And, with that mindset, we're trying to be a little bit more peaceful with our environment, just because we understand the work. So these guys have done a great job with that. But that's the biggest thing that I would say, from year one to year two. Obviously, I wasn't there while they were there. I was on a interview with a couple, not you guys, but a couple of the guys that were on the team. They were a part of that. And it's really interesting things that they, when we ask questions like, hey, what do you want? And they're like, well, when we play teams in our county, we look at their sidelines, there's 20 coaches. And then you look at our sideline and there's 2. Or there's 3, like that was like, something that they noticed, and you're like, wow, they don't feel supported. And, how like we can do that. Like we can make you feel supported, and then you guys should go out there and feel like you're giant killers. So, those are the things that we're focusing on, but these guys are doing everything that they can, to try to maximize their ability. So as a squad. So, I mean, we're in a tough conference, and we all know that. So it'll be interesting, but it prepares you for, playoffs.
Yep. So we talked about earlier, you guys are 3-1. You started off with a 41-13 win at Grand Haven, which took 2 days to complete. So, because, you started it, then the storms, lightning, whatever, suspended and then came back. So what was that like to try to come back and reset that next day?
Really, it was just kind of picking up where we left off. I was really hoping we could just go right back on the field, right where we were. We had the momentum. That lightning hit, I thought it ended up killing our momentum. We had them where we wanted them. Defensively, we had settled in. We made our adjustments, and I think offensively they were going to keep slinging it, running the ball, doing their thing. But I was terrified that we weren't going to be able to get back in that groove the next day.
What was that like for you? I mean, just trying to it's hard to get up like that, 2 days in a row like that. And, it's just human nature. It's just tough to do that.
I think for me, coming back that second day and finishing the game, it was such a weird feeling. Almost like I was in youth football again. I'm waking up at 9 a.m. to play a noon game or something. So, I think we had momentum the Thursday night. Like Caden said, we were kind of settling in, but we just had to come in with the same mindset on Friday. So
it wasn't the same game. It was the second day. It was really it just came back to your training. It wasn't you weren't all amped up, juiced up. We're about to go out here. Who had more juice? It was just who did more work, who put in more training.
Yeah, right, and that's done in the off season, right?
Yeah,
off season, summer, 2 days, all that stuff.
And the lights weren't shining. There wasn't a huge crowd anymore. It almost kind of felt like a scrimmage, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
we just had to go out there and do our thing. So,
but that, like you said in your pregame talk, that's adversity. That's a form of adversity because both teams are dealing with it, but you got to show that you can handle that stuff, right?
Right. I mean, these guys have. I feel like we've done everything we can to create routines, and because we know the game of football is about routines, preparing wise, or preparation wise. But we've been facing a lot of adversity. We had the doubleheader there, and then we went to Farmington after a half day of school on a long trip, and then we, without our starting quarterback, and then we go play Mona Shores during their Sailor Salute. So I mean, it's just been adversity, all the way throughout, and so we're trying to figure out, okay, how can we get in flow? How can we get in rhythm? But these guys have done a great job of just answering the bell in the terms of, we're used to it. It's chaotic around here, we'll, sudden change, we're ready to roll. But as coaching staff, we're like, okay, how can we find a way to get flow here?
So with that Farmington game, the road trip, what was that like? I mean, was that a test of maturity a little bit too, just because you almost face it like a business trip, right?
To me, it was hard to balance. All right, am I going to yell at these guys? We're an hour into the trip. Do I yell at them to focus up, or do I let them kind of live it out and enjoy it, soak it in? And that was I was like, should I be listen to music here? What should I be doing? It was weird. Our freshman year, we had a trip for playoffs. We went to Marquette.
Oh yeah,
same type of thing. And I was just thinking, the seniors on that trip were just all over the place. They weren't locked in. They didn't handle business. So I was like, man, am I going to be that senior? Are we going to have that kind of same outcome? The outcome freshman year wasn't very good.
Mm-hmm.
So I was nervous about just juggling that.
What was your experience with that trip?
For recent history, it was just kind of all right, how are we going to come out? Because the year prior, we had 2 Lansing games, and that's pretty far. It's about 2 hours. So I think with St. John's, we were knotted up 14 at halftime. So, we didn't come out and play the way we should have. And then we were tied 0-0 with Lansing Everett. So, and we know that's not how things should have went. So to come out, I think we scored in our first 3 possessions against Farmington. I think that just proved something to ourselves, like we're here, we're ready to play. So
And then also focusing on that game because you knew you had the big one with Shores the next week. So just staying on that. You know.
Yeah. And we had a lot of adversity because, we were trying to figure out, like Bryce hasn't played quarterback since 6th grade. So we were trying to figure out, okay, like he is the best guy, for this spot right now. And, what does he do really well, so that we can move the ball going forward. And I think, obviously he stepped in and did a tremendous job. I mean, I remember looking at the stats at the end of the game going, really, that's pretty impressive, with 4 days of prep, and just kind of going out there and kind of balling out. So, that was one of those games where like, okay, maybe this team's different. Like morale was high and, everyone kind of stepped up and we're believing in one another and, running the ball and, on defense and then offensively executing at a great pace. So I thought, this is something we can grow from, or build from. But, and then the week after that, and then this week, now we're finally starting to settle in, and know what we need to do to improve. And it starts with these guys like understanding that piece. I mean, you heard them talk about it, that, they're wanting to get better. They're now starting to figure out like, this is who we are and where we want to be better. We want to be more. We don't want to be like that group when we're freshmen or anything along those lines. And those things usually will help, the long run.
Now the Shores game, obviously a lot of anticipation for that one. It was the Sailor Salute as well, so there's just a lot of stuff going on or outside the game. But do you guys think, from what I understand, I didn't see the game. It sounds like maybe you guys didn't play your best game. Credit Shores for doing what they do. But do you think there was maybe were you too amped up, or how would you kind of chalk that one up? Is it obviously it's always a learning experience, but what did you guys take away from that?
From my side on the defense, I mean, it took us really like 2 drives to kind of settle in defensively and get to where we wanted to be. I mean, we spotted them 2 touchdowns really in those first 2 drives. And yeah, after that, I think we settled in defensively, but it took a second for guys to kind of ground themselves. And I was like, we're here now, like just football. Like, let's settle in. We had a lot of guys kind of heads off, like this is a big game, helicopters flying over. So I think it took really 2 drives for the defense to settle in.
What about in your opinion, Bryce?
I think there was some good, there was some bad. I think you kind of hit it a little bit, but I think we were too amped up. I didn't think we did a great job of just understanding the moment, There was a lot of people there, pressure situations. We made some crucial mistakes, myself included. So I think that was a big learning point for us. So I think that'll help us a lot this week.
No, I think that's understandable. And I think a lot of people assume that, okay, you played them tough last year. What was it, 15-0 or whatever? Mm-hmm. People assume, oh, they're going to progress, but you got to understand the other team, nothing ever stays the same, right. In terms of you can't just look at something, well, they played them tough then, so they're going to play them tough now. Maybe if you played them again, you probably would, and maybe you will see them in the playoffs or something like that. So you may get that opportunity again. But but from that, you went on and you had your home opener finally. After 3 road games, you're at home. 62-21 win coming off that 28-10 loss to Shores. But how do you feel you guys responded? Was it pretty good in that home opener against Holland?
That's the other side of the ball. Defensively, we shouldn't have gave up the 14 that we gave up. I mean, but I rather get exposed in that game than this week. We had some coverage stuff and some stuff we had to clean up with the linebackers, and we had some stuff we had to clean up. So I'm glad it got exposed in that game where we came out on top instead of a big game where you can't get those points back.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, man, we just keep on learning throughout, week after week. So, again, there were some things that we didn't do as well as we wanted to last week, and we're built on that. So.
Was Rocket City jumping last Friday night?
Hey, they had the music.
What was the atmosphere like?
They had the music going.
Did, yeah.
Like our band was really good at halftime from the sounds of it. Our student section, I think, was that area was full. I mean, there was a good amount of support there. We had our Rocket City kickoff, so we had all of the school district opportunities kind of out there, so you can do kind of a meet and greet, food truck, all that stuff. I mean, we do a great stuff with that, you know. So I mean that was it was a good home opener. Like the boys said, it was nice. It was nice to be home. You know, you don't know that you're going through it until you went through it, and you know, being able to do a walkthrough at 5:15 in the afternoon and not 3:15 or 3, yeah, you know, all that, like having to come back at 5:15 was a lot better than, you know, having to leave at 11 o'clock or, you know, having to leave, you know, Grand Haven first game, and the second game we're coming back at 9:30, you know, like it was nice to kind of like, okay, we're here, we're settled in a little bit. You know, obviously we're not worried about the result, and, you know, that's the biggest distraction in football is the result. So we were more worried on the process, and you can hear it in these, or you can hear it in their words, but you can see it in their faces too, that they're wanting to be better. You know, they're wanting to improve and fix those little things.
I think this is a good time for a little break. I'll play a little ad here so we can get a couple pennies paid to us. But
all right,
and then we'll come back and revisit it. So. Welcome back. This is the CatchMark SportsNet Podcast, Season 5, Episode 2. We have the Reeths-Puffer Rockets football team, members of them, here with us. And this is a podcast sponsored by Chris Wink Real Estate of Coldwell Banker, Woodland Schmidt. Thanks for your support there, as well as that of all the rest of our sponsors, too. So we talked about kind of the season so far and leading up to that point. And now we're going to talk a little bit about this big game this Friday against Muskegon. Last year, Reeths-Puffer gave Muskegon a really good fight at Hackley before falling 28-20. What do you guys remember about that game? And by the way, we have with us, just in case you missed the early part, we have Caden Bulldog, senior linebacker, and Bryce Ross. I think you do a little bit of everything. Receiver, safety, quarterback, wherever you need them. And we have, of course, Coach Cody Cater. So back to that question. What do you remember about that game against Muskegon last year?
I think really it was just realization, like, after the halftime, like, we went into halftime, and we did all that work in the summer. Things were different, put in all that work. And, like, the first 2 games, like, yeah, we won, like, we're better. But then halftime, like, I look around, I'm like, guys, like, we're here. Like, we can win this game. Like, we can play with them. And before, I think with Reeths-Puffer, like, that's never really been a conversation. And there was, like, a moment of realization.
And how can you kind of build off that? I know it's a different year, that kind of thing, but just having that experience and just the things you guys have been through, how do you think that maybe helps you going into Friday?
So last year, I mean, we were underdogs for every game we played. This year, I mean, we established ourselves a little bit. So it's almost like Coach hit on earlier. It's almost like there's more pressure on us than there was in years prior. So we got to kind of limit that and just play and do what we know we can do. So
there's expectations with that. Like, the standards are different with the expectations. The stress is different. Before, there's not necessarily stress because there's really no standards set. This year, in like year 2, we have standards now. Like, gotta go out there and play. Like, this is our game to win. And with that, it's the stress that we gotta learn to deal with and play.
So what do you think you learned from maybe a Mona Shores game? Maybe that might not have anything to do with this game, I don't know, but just in that big game experience, how do you think that plays into it from what you guys have been through already?
Yeah, I think, that was one of the bigger surprises in my coaching career, was that Mona Shores week, just because we did prepare pretty well. We were loose, the times that we should be loose, and, we were locked in when we were, needing to be locked in. And I think that was the surprise with like the product that we put out there on Friday. That Friday was, something that we didn't see all week. And, I think that's something to learn from. And we learned from it like the next day. I mean, we had an open forum and just said, share your thoughts and your feelings. Like, where are we at, so we can recenter ourselves on the things that we need to, improve upon, just like the black and white skills piece of it. So, I think our boys learned a lot. I think, I might have built it up a little bit too. I kind of got after it, throughout the end of the week there, with a few speeches. So I think that was, something that, I learned from as a head coach, that, our boys play best, when they're loose and confident, and we got to figure out a way to get back to that spot this week. And, we're obviously playing a really, really difficult opponent that has improved a ton since week 1. And, they've found their identity on both sides of the ball. So I think, this will be obviously we really don't believe everything's a test, or anything's a test, but this will be a great opportunity to learn something on Friday. From a program standpoint, from a community standpoint, all of those things all wrapped into one. We're going to find out a lot about ourselves on Friday.
When you're Reeths-Puffer and you're playing against a Muskegon or a Shores, what's that like? How intense is that? What is that? It's got to be different than just, you don't want to build things up too much because it's all about your process and preparation, but at the same time, being on the field in those games, what's that like?
You're kind of asking the wrong guy. For me, every game's the same game. I mean, I'm going out there to play football. I mean, they run a couple different plays, so I'm looking for a couple different things. But I mean, obviously, there's a little more weight that's carried with those games, a little chip on your shoulder. But at the end of the day, to me, I'm going out there to play football, and I don't try to build it up to anything that it isn't. Even if it is, I try to build it up to something that is just no big deal, really.
All right. Speaking of what your coach said about trying not to make it more bigger than what it is. Yeah. So how do you feel about it, Bryce?
I mean, you've been playing them since you were young, and you know some of the guys. So, and things are a little bit more chippy out there, but so I mean, as far as that goes, but Yeah, like Caden said, you're just out there, you're just playing ball like every game. Every game is just it's a football game, like regardless of your opponent. So.
And what are the keys to getting a victory this Friday, do you think?
Keys to victory.
Yeah, I mean we have them, but I haven't thought about publicly our keys to our keys to victory.
You don't have to spill the secrets.
Yeah, right. No, but I think our keys to victory obviously is understanding the moment. We're trying to figure out a way just to do our job. I think. I addressed the team today about that. In our keys to victory. We had our nice little presentation ready and our videos and all of those things, and we discussed the big picture of what this game is and who we are right now as a team. And like at the end of the day, last year there's a 3-way tie for the OK Green. We don't talk about conference championships or results or anything, but there was a 3-way tie and they all beat one another. And we felt like Zeeland West, when we went and played Zeeland West, we did not put a great product out there on that Friday night. We feel the same way about the Mona Shores game. But the test right now for our program is how can we bounce back and put a better product out in the big game, because I felt like that Zeeland West game, we bounced back. We put a decent product on against Mona Shores. We're dinged up. We couldn't, really punch it in the end zone, but we at least we played a better game, and so that's all we're really focusing on is how can we grow from that moment and put a better product out there and play a better, play by play of just a better game. But I mean, our opponent is, like I said, they've gotten a ton better since the first week. What I saw on that Mona Shores tape was violent, and they were looking to, play the way that, they're probably, are used to, or they were looking to, continue to kind of play the way that tradition holds them to play. So, we have a tough test, or, big opportunity here for us just to see how we kind of answer the call.
All right. So, switching gears a little bit, I wanted to talk a little bit about the Behind the Helmet series that we've been doing. What do you guys think of the series so far? Obviously, you got a few of your teammates that have been getting the love in that. But, Brooks Johnson, Antrell Jones, and Max Dibble in particular. But what's been you guys' thoughts on that?
Take the floor.
I think it's pretty cool. Like, I've seen you in my school, I've seen you you've traveled to Brooks's house, I think it's pretty cool. You're everywhere. You got guys filming when
he's famous.
Yeah.
You were on the Johnson basement couch. You were on the historic couch.
Yeah, like I just
plenty of sleepovers there.
Yeah.
Chill.
Yeah,
I don't know,
this is going in a direction I didn't intend on going.
Me either. Yeah. Jeez, peace. Yeah, the Puffer kids, man.
I had to get the sound effects in there.
Yeah.
So, what is it like having cameras on? Is it a distraction, or is it cool? Or you guys just kind of get used to it after a little bit?
I think it kind of it helps us not necessarily get away from football, but just kind of shift like the stress and everything that's going on. Like, we can crack some jokes about it. We can have fun, and it's not like football. It's football.
Were you guys giving Brooks or Antrell any crap just because Hollywood, all this stuff?
I heard you were in his class and he was class clown and all that.
Who?
Trell.
Yeah, no way. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, no way.
I don't believe it.
Yeah, can't be the quarterback and be the class clown. So I haven't watched any of the episodes. I am holding off until the end of the season. Good. I wanna kind of recap. I think I'll find myself being emotional, so I want to watch it. Yeah. When we're all done, but maybe recap it at our.
Well, you're trying to focus too.
Yeah, and I don't want to look back, on those things, and maybe it would help us or help me to, see the conversations that we're having. But no, I think it's been awesome to watch these guys kind of get the limelight. I mean, to be completely honest, when Brooks Johnson scored last week, I was kind of emotional. Because the conversation that I had with him when we were or Coach Niklaus and I had with him when we talked about him moving down into the box. One thing I told him, I was like, I don't want you to feel peer pressure to do so. I don't, you're going to have a number change. You're not going to have an opportunity to score that touchdown that we talked about. There's going to be a lot of things that go into play here that like you might just not have that. And he did say I really do like want to score a touchdown. Like I've been moved up since a sophomore. Like I want to score a touchdown. I want to have that opportunity. We actually, and he had a lot of catches for us last year, but we go into a formation where we run a bootleg and we throw the ball to Caden for a touchdown. And it was almost like as that happened, as Caden's running, I'm kind of thinking to myself, like, Brooks hasn't, scored yet this season. And I'm kind of like, but at that point, you're just kind of.
How long after that
did
it happen?
Yeah, and you're moving on. And it's to say, when is he going to? So he never really got an opportunity that game. He got to get moved around the rest of the season then because, some things went down. So I think at the next year, he's thinking he's a senior. He's going to get these touchdowns. Then here we are having this conversation like, dude, we need you in the box. And I saw he was the one that scooped, I'm like, just get in the end zone, man. Like, like the football lords, be good to us.
That was pretty cool. And, and our guy, Jeff Burrell, was there recording. He got the video of it too.
And it was so cool. And it was like, it was emotional. it was like, I'm not,
so one
totally
thing,
emotional, but yeah.
I don't think this made it in episode 2, but I was asking Brooks about that position switch, and you guys would know the expression better than I would, but something about feelings and something else. He said Coach Cater is always talking about feelings and what's the expression?
Principles, yeah.
Principles and feelings. He did bring that up.
Yeah.
So basically, what he meant by that is, like, if you have a position switch, it's not about how you feel or how that makes you feel about it. It's about what's right for the team.
Yeah, don't fall to your feelings. Always follow to your principles. So principles over feelings. Like, if we just did things and acted on our feelings all the time, we'd obviously be in a lot of trouble. And some people do that, so it's just like, hey, let's live our life off principles. So, and he is a guy that, like, you talk about Mr. RP, like these two, like Brooks is that as well. His parents graduated from there. His mom works at the high school. Everyone has known Brooks, as he's been, growing up in the community. And I just hope, and I really do think it's helped because, I do have like a middle school population that kind of our community that kind of is worried about status and worried about positions and worried about all those kinds of things. Like, and this hearing Brooks' story, like, has to spread throughout the community. It has to spread the football community and the program. Just do whatever's best for the team, and like good things will happen. The guy didn't really get a target to get into the end zone last year as a receiver, and here he is playing defensive end. Guy, fumbles. He's able to get there and get it in the end zone, and just, it was that just. Those are little things that maybe, people don't notice, but, those are the things that, like, within our locker room and, within our, I guess, our hallways are really cool and a fun, kind of the fun part about being a coach and being a part of a team still.
So what's been your guys' favorite part of the series?
I've been holding out to watch it.
You've been holding out on it too? Man, no one's watching. No wonder why our numbers are
No. In personal finance today, he walked in late. Bro, our friend Parker, he had his AirPods in. He was like, look, here's my tag.
Yeah, he did talk about that. What did it say? He said something.
Courtesy of Parker Sweet.
Yeah. Let's go.
He was all hyped up for that.
That's cool. No, he did work for us, so he deserves it.
All around their phone watching.
I'm waiting for him to be a sports nut. And you guys might not know what that is, but yesterday we've been kind of trying to recruit students or other parents, whatever, to help us to go out there and cover games and stuff, just because it's just me and maybe one or two others, if that, on a given night. And so we released a thing. Brent came up with this idea. I think at first I didn't really like it, but I'm like, you know what? It's kind of growing on me. So we're CatchMark SportsNet. He goes, why don't we call it the CatchMark Sports Nuts? And it sounds a little weird, I know, at first when you hear that, because you think of something else. But but when someone's really into sports, what do they call them? They call them a sports nut.
Yeah.
So if Parker wants to be a sports nut, we'll bring him aboard and he can cover Reeths-Puffer, do whatever.
We'll let him know. You said that.
And then there's also
we'll get him signed up.
Yeah, because I think a couple of them run like the RP Barstool Sports. And
school.
And I wasn't, and I'm not a huge fan of that because like last year, actually, I'm not really honestly, I'm not on social media that often. And then I go on our Barstool Sports page that I didn't know existed, and I find that, and then our football players are like talking trash to the opposing teams on the page with their names connected to it. Like, I'm just like, this is so odd. And the next thing you know, I'm on the bus to Farmington, and I'm like, I'm just wasting time. I'm on it, and it's a Barstool. I haven't been on it in a long time. I click on it, and it's a picture of the back of our bus going forward, like on our way to Farmington. I'm like, wait a minute, like, is this person on our bus? You know, I mean, and I think I know who runs it, but they try to keep it all hush hush, and they try to keep it, the kids are good at that. I mean, I think Parker would be really good at the SportsNet thing, or we probably got kids in our hallways that would love to do that.
Jeff Burrell was talking to a couple of photographers, like student photographers, on Friday, and he asked them, they're like, yeah, let's do it. So we'll see if that leads anywhere, but it would help you guys get more coverage from us. We've been kind of staying in the West Michigan Conference, but we're looking to do that, but expand out as well. So
yeah, they're hungry for that.
We want to build that. So
I'm gonna know a guy.
Hey, I need to know who you think runs the Barstool. I'm interested to see what you
Drop
say
it
about
on the
that.
podcast.
Is Travis?
I don't know.
Yeah, okay. I thought Travis or Parker. Like, I was like kind of like after I saw the picture.
Hey, maybe there's multiple guys.
Oh, okay.
both of them.
Well, I know that it's not very good. The content needs to improve. So whoever's running it,
is Travis still rocking that stash?
Ish. Yeah,
depends.
it's not nearly as
Stashy.
it's not nearly as detective.
Oh, he looked like Magnum PI or something.
Yeah, but
Tom Selleck.
yeah, he's still
Trimmed it.
yeah. Gosh.
Or Starsky and Hutch or something like that.
That's exactly who he looks like. Yeah.
These guys don't even have no idea
No.
Right over
what we're talking about.
Yeah, but they have some good. We sat in the room during camp and did some lookalikes. There's some funny ones that are on the team that I need to. Maybe we'll expose that in the next series. There was some ones that we shouldn't share, and then there are some ones that are PG-13 and are pretty funny.
So let's shift the focus to this guy over here a little bit, Coach Cater, and of course we have to talk about him a little bit. When you guys met him, what were your first impressions?
All right, so I was just talking about this with him when you guys walked out. Like my first impression of him, ever hearing him, you weren't that big because I didn't know you when I was younger. I first found out who he was, maybe it was January. So like it was sophomore year, like season was over. I was sitting like in my basement. In my basement, I have like my weight room, or had. And I was sitting there like on the bench, and I'm just like sitting there on my phone, and then I get a notification. Twitter. I'm like, ooh, Twitter follow. Like, what coach followed me? I was hyped. Cody Cater. I clicked on it. Some dude with a big old, straggly, long beard. I was like,
James Harden beard.
I was looking at it. I like texted Bryce and Brody, and I'm like, hey, did this guy just follow you? Cody Cater? Like, who's this? And they're like, hey, he followed me. I was just like, And that was it. And then like a week or two later, we found out like
I gotta find that photo I sent you. Go ahead.
like he was the man for the job, and that was my first impression of him. Was I was just about to go to bed, random late night follow from him.
What?
He's
Different
working
time zone. in
Late
Georgia?
night?
No?
Yeah, no, not a different
Yeah,
time
so he was
zone.
in Georgia. I was like,
Not a different time zone.
Yeah, but
And I go to bed early, so it wasn't a late night one.
I think for me, it was almost like, no disrespect, coach, but I'm like, what is this Division 6 Montague
wow.
coach know? About big league football. I mean, he knows a thing or two. So,
So what do you say to that? I mean, you played at that level. You coached at Division 6 level. I mean, it's not just a normal Division 6 school. I mean, team that's won multiple state titles, and you played Division 1 football.
Right.
All those things you've coached in various levels.
Right.
I mean, what do you make of that whole Division 1, Division 2, Division 6
Yeah, I mean,
thing?
I knew that I wanted to, this was a profession that I wanted to be in. So I knew I needed to make a jump at some point in time if I wanted to, obviously further along my career. So, it was moving out of that because there is perception probably within that. But, you also learn now that I have been to other places, there's some really good coaches there still, at Montague that, know their stuff and, that would be a huge asset even at Reeths-Puffer. So, like you learn that, that perception isn't maybe always everything. And when I was, at Montague though, it was what do you know, in the same, and you can't be a girls basketball coach. You're a football coach trying to coach girls basketball and, so on and so forth. So, I mean, you're always going to have that. I grew up in that world, when I was in high school. So and not like I had a bunch of fans that were like, woohoo, Cody, you're awesome. At opposing schools. But I think so. I was kind of used, we're used to that piece in this athletic environment. So, that doesn't bother me. And at the end of the day, I always have something to prove to these guys, and I don't think that they need to think to me that they have to prove something, but we're trying to create that culture where, standards and expectations are high and, don't prove it to me, but prove it to yourself. But I'm in that world where I don't want to be that. I don't ever want to be that player coach, that guy that was decent player and now he thinks he can coach football. Like, I don't ever want to live in that world like that. That's something that would bother me.
Well, you've proven it in different respects, like you said,
right.
Basketball and stuff. But you talk about James Hardenbeard. What about a Ryan Fitzpatrick? Or so my kids are always messing around. I got teenage girls, and they always put filters on photos and stuff. They take the worst photo maybe they can find and put a filter on it. And that's what they did. I'm like, that looks like Cody.
That's my long lost brother.
So, speaking of brothers, I saw your brother today at San Marcos, Derek.
Not
I
at
see
work,
him out. I see him probably not once a week, but probably once every couple of weeks. It seems like going somewhere, whether it's Subway or wherever.
Or what's this one in the corner? Is that
the pizza place down there?
Big Pop? No.
Yeah.
Is that Big
John's?
Yeah.
I've seen him in there.
I know they enjoy their Big Johns too. No.
So was Derek? Was he kind of mean to you?
So no, man. I mean, those guys were good to me. I had a brother that was 10 years older, Derek, and then a brother that was 7 years older, Kyle. And I tell these guys all the time, like I was that like booster kid. Like Monty Athletic boosters were just growing. I was always around. Mm-hmm. So so like when I see some of these guys, I just I can really like attach myself to their kind of foundation just because I grew up like that. I just always in the stands. So I get to watch a lot of sports and be around it a lot, and like they both have younger brothers, so they know what their brothers are kind of going through. I always tell Bryce that he reminds me of my brother Kyle, but my brother Kyle was tougher, just to kind of jab. But I think those are things, that I'll always kind of cherish because of the, the brotherhood that I had with those guys. But they also, not saying it was incredibly tough to grow up in the Cater household, but it was competitive. So it did teach me a lot of lessons through that, in the coaching world of just how to live your life, day in and day out, and how to kind of get yourself going and going in the right direction that sometimes can be unhealthy, but at least have that competitive chip on your shoulder.
So you've never seen this guy? Any video or anything of him playing football or basketball?
Me and Brody have watched his highlights probably like 2-3 times. Just like if we're bored, like during the off season, like I think we did it like once in December. We pulled it up on the TV, and I think.
And what do you think? Did you see his 99? Was it 99 or 98?
His drip was pretty dry.
98. Yeah.
Was that
the pass?
Yeah,
to Anthony Root?
That was my junior year.
Was that at Northern?
No, that was a run. That was a 97-yard run.
In the dome, right?
Yeah.
Up at the Uper Dome?
Yeah, that was a 97-yard run. We're talking about the pass.
He could use like some arm sleeves.
But no, they're like, that's what. So we had this, and I don't know how many people are going to listen to this, all the way through, but we actually had a no drip day. So we didn't allow what we, like they thought of it. The boys did, but they said like our program and our boys have like always worried about like what they look like and and the cheering and like those types of things. And we're still trying to get it out of them. I don't know how to I just want you to play the game. But like they had a no drip day. So like against Holland, we had no accessories. So like everyone wore like, cause it's kind of it's getting out of control. And I thought I thought I was like way like my brother Kyle and Derek, they both had the cowboy collar.
Oh yeah.
They had taped wrists, and that was it. You know what I mean? So then I come out here and I like have the eye shield. I have like the sleeve. Like I think I'm like super cool. Like looking back on it, and then these guys are like, man, that drip. You had no drip. Like you that you look like dread. All that stuff. And
You
I'm
have to
like,
wear
man,
your socks a certain way.
Yeah,
all that stuff.
Yeah, and I was like, actually, like I thought I was like, was doing something nice with it. So it's interesting to see how far things have come. But I mean, dude, we had like guys last year with like 5 armbands on like one leg. Like
what about the checkered board?
The checkerboard flag. Like we've got some crazy stuff, man. That's
Do you
just
have a
like
turnover chain or anything?
no turnover chain. We got the crumble
works.
cookie. We have the crumble cookie turnovers. So you get a turnover, you get a crumble cookie.
Coach said it was trash.
Yeah.
A chain and a crumble cookie.
Yeah, that's not going on our sideline, boys. I'm sorry.
He said he pulled up his phone. He was like, dude, look at this chain. He's like, 100-inch chain. He's like,
Who said that?
Coach Smith. He said he added it to his car.
No, he was trying to. They were trying to kind of get. I'm cool with the turnover chain, all that. Like, I mean, you have seen the Colorado stuff.
Was it a throne or something?
Yeah, like how. I mean, that's fun. That's cool. But like, let's. There's a little old school part of me, little old school Montague blue collar. Like that's just a part of me where it's just kind of like, you know what, guys, like we don't need to wear all that. Like let's just go out there and play football and prove ourselves.
That's how Dusty Fairfield was back in the day.
Yeah, and I want the boys that want to be themselves and all that, but I felt like Motor Shores, you can't perform like that and then also wear that stuff. There's something. You can wear that, but you better perform. Like there's a piece of me in that. So, it was, and some guys still can't not wear the chain. It's interesting world that we live in. But yeah, it is. It's fun though. It's all in fun.
So you guys, all you viewers out there, are gonna have to stay tuned to see what Reeths-Puffer's wearing this Friday. So, but before we're at our time now for the podcast, but. Before we do say goodbye, do you guys have any closing thoughts that you'd like to share? Just maybe about the state of the program or maybe the culture of where not only Reeths-Puffer football is, but where Reeths-Puffer athletics in the school is and where it's heading, do you think?
Football-wise, like I think we're at like an interesting spot. Like right here, like this is kind of the tell. I mean, it's not the tell. It's not the end-all, but it's an interesting spot where we're going to go with this.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Bryce?
I think as a football program, we've been in a lot of close games, and I mean, last year we won some close games, but like Caden just said, we got a big one. So, let's go out there and ball out. Get a win. So
for the younger guys, like that was their big game. Like, okay, now we can settle down. Like it's just football at the end of the day. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we go this Friday and we don't have to it doesn't take so long to settle in. Like we're like, okay, we're here to play football and people can settle in and we can play football and do what we've been trained to do.
Yeah. And you?
Yeah, no, I think this is an interesting spot. It would be a good way to put it, but it's a long season and it's a tough conference and we're going to get opportunities to be able to get in front of teams that are going to either we're going to decide to grow from it or it's going to break us and our culture is going to get put to the test. So that's, everyone. It's crazy that we're already in week 5.
Flying.
It is. It's just. It is. It's just flying. And my wife had to kind of remind me of that. We're already in week 5, and last year expectations were like, wow, this is actually happening. Like people are making plays, and we're kind of good. That was a conversation through the hallways. Now the conversations have kind of changed. So I think that with that. All of that's really good, and our boys are, going to be, they're going to be alive to tell the tale, and I can't wait to kind of get after it on Friday and be in a big game again, We all talked about it that we wish that we would had a big game right after against Holland. We all, we felt like we wanted something to look forward to because that was a lot of fun. We just didn't perform the way that we wanted to. So it'll, going forward, football program wise, we're all in a really good spot. And then, culture of the school wise and community too. We know that football can help be a driving, piece of that. So, it is. These boys will, will be able to kind of be the foundation of all of that. So it's we're looking forward to it.
All right, before we sign off on this podcast, let's give our sponsors another shout out. That's Big Stone Therapies, Rescued 2.0 LLC, Grieve Law, Edward Jones with financial advisor Brett Adkins, Coldwell Banker, Woodland Schmidt with David Duesenberry, Farm Bureau Insurance, the Kenny Agency, 5-Star Real Estate Leaders with Matt Parker, The Birdhouse, Scheid Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, Greenridge Realty with Chris Dykman and Sarah Reel, and then, of course, our title sponsor, Chris Wank Real Estate of Coldwell Banker, Woodland Schmidt. Thanks a lot, Caden and Bryce and Coach Cater. Appreciate you guys being on. Keep it rolling, boys.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, yeah, thank you for having us.
Yep, I'm Scott DeCamp with CatchMark SportsNet. This was Season 5, Episode 2 of the CatchMark SportsNet podcast. Have a great week, everybody.